Production funding for Sports Files is made possible in part by
Infinity of Memphis has moved to Germantown Road, just half-mile north of Wolf Chase Galleria, and is proud to support WKNO for its quality broadcasting and service to our community. Quality and service? No wonder Infinity of Memphis feels at home on WKNO.
the WKNO Production Fund, the WKNO Endowment Fund, and by viewers like you. Thank you.
My guest today on Sports Files is the general manager of the Memphis Redbirds, Craig Unger. The Major League Baseball regular season opened up early last week. Then on Thursday, it was time for the Memphis Redbirds to get their 2016 campaign underway. And when they did, it was under new ownership. On Wednesday, the team announced official approval from the Pacific Coast League on the sale of the team, which will make Peter Freund the principal owner. Freund, who has a small stake in the New York Yankees and owns several other minor league teams, purchased the majority of the club from the St. Louis Cardinals. Freund talked about the importance of having a commitment to the community and spoke glowingly about the association with the parent Cardinals. The relationship between the two clubs continues to be strong. In fact, Cardinals general manager John Mozeliak announced that an additional 5-year contract to keep the Redbirds Cardinals affiliation going was added to the previous deal. Today, Redbirds general manager Craig Unger stops by to talk about new ownership, new responsibilities, plus a fan favorite, new giveaways. And it's next on Sports Files. Greg, great to have you on the show again.
Thanks for having me.
As a baseball guy, I know you can't wait until early April. This is the most exciting time of the year for you because baseball is underway.
Here it is. I mean, it's sort of, you live for spring training to start the middle of February, but it's like there, it's so close, but you can't touch it yet. You can't quite get there. As soon as the calendar turns to April and you start to see the players around the field and the grass is turning green, it's a magical time of year for me.
Last year we spoke going into the 2015 campaign. It was all about the renovations, the millions of dollars that the Cardinals put into the stadium, and it was a hit. It was terrific, a lot of positive responses. Now, all of a sudden, here we go into 2016, and the Cardinals have sold the majority percentage of the team to Peter B. Freund, who is now the majority owner of the Redbirds. Number one, why did the Cardinals make this move? And two, what does it mean for the future of the Redbirds?
Well, I think, from sort of the background of it is Peter came to the DeWitts and said, that he wanted to be involved here, and it was a surprise. I mean, it was, for a lot of people, as I say it, it was an unsolicited offer. They weren't looking out to do it, but after they had a chance to talk to him, get his idea of what the vision was, and the most important thing was to keep the Redbirds in Memphis and to stay a Cardinal affiliate. Once he got through that and kind of talked about what his ideas are for minor league baseball, and Peter's involved with 2 other minor league baseball teams, and his was very much of a shared vision of it's about entertainment, it's about fun, it's about bringing more fun to the ballpark, not forgetting about the baseball side, because there's great prospects that come through, and that's why staying a Cardinal affiliate was so important. I think what it's going to mean to the average person is they're going to see more fun, they're going to see more promotions coming to the ballpark. We're going to have the established relationship with the Cardinals going forward and going for a very long time, and that's important. So baseball is going to be taken care of. Now it's for us to be able to bring more things to the ballpark, be more creative, have a lot more fun, and just for people enjoy AutoZone Park when they come out to it. It's an amazing facility, and we'll look to keep doing improvements on it and other things just to keep people coming back.
So I would imagine if this was a potential buyer who wanted to move the franchise, or number two, wanted to, in future years, disband the association with the Cardinals never would have made the deal.
Well, I think the first thing to sort of keep in mind is we've got 14 years left on our lease with the city on the ballpark. And it's a great lease for everybody, and that's that's the best part of it. And the other part is that the appetite to move a ballpark or to move a team someplace else, you have to have a stadium to go to. And why would anyone want to leave the second best ballpark in minor league baseball? So it's just all those things there. I mean, one, it was never even a discussion really of moving the team because part of the allure for him was coming in and seeing this facility. I mean, the first time, he had been here a few times before just to kind of see it. This time kind of coming in for the first time and looking around as a potential buyer. I mean, it was like he took one walk around the stadium and like showing him different things that just don't exist even in some big league parks, and seeing the clubs that we redid and how big league those look. I mean, that's really was like, he was like, this is amazing. This is an amazing facility. And so there's not even a thought of that side of even moving on, because you're never going to, you'd never be able to top AutoZone Park.
And again, even with new ownership, that contract is solid as far as 14 more years.
Absolutely. There's 2 5-year extensions as well, so it could, it could put the Redbirds here for the next 24 years, which is that's a really long-term deal.
You are now the president of the organization. Congratulations on that, to go along with your title of general manager. I'm sure you've had a number of conversations now with Peter Freund. How have they gone?
They're great. He's an absolutely great guy. He's already sent me a schedule kind of through the first several months of when he's going to be here, and I think that's going to be it's going to be sort of a change for the fans that, Peter will be around and he wants to walk around. He wants to meet people. He wants to see people. He wants to be active in the community. And I think that's something that's going to be a huge positive for us. I mean, we're going to become a really locally driven, where the full business operation is going to be run out of AutoZone Park now. In the past, outside wherever the Cardinals were involved, there were a lot of things that the Cardinals did in St. Louis.
It went through them.
It went through them. Right? Yeah. I mean, we were sort of an arm's length sort of shoot from the parent club. Accounting, HR, payroll. A lot of those things were all dealt with in St. Louis. Now we're going to bring a lot of these things inside of the organization. So, people have asked about, you always hear when there's, changes in ownership, there's changes in jobs. We think we're going to end up adding positions because we're going to have to bring more people in to help support the organization, because we're going to be, as I said, a fully functioning small business out of AutoZone Park. Everything is going to have to happen there. All decisions will be made there, which is going to be, I think it's going to be good for us. It'll be good for the business side of things, good for the surrounding business community. And Peter's really excited about it just so he can really dive into the local business community as well and be involved.
As I mentioned, last year was all about the renovations. We've seen those renovations. They've been absolutely terrific additions. But people always want to know what's new. So what's new, Craig, in 2016?
Well, our big things this year is going to be some new promotions. We came in with we've got all of our staples that we introduced last year of dollar hot dog night on Tuesdays, our college nights on Thursdays. We sort of introduced throughout the year, which took off. Our Friday nights, Saturday nights of having live music. One thing we're doing with that is moving the live music inside of the stadium. The entry plaza where you come in during really May, June, July, and August. So hot out there. The sun just beats down out there. So we're going to move some of that stuff inside. We redid the area out in left field that was sort of closed down throughout most of the year last year because of the construction. We've redone some concrete work out there and going to be able to move some things back there where it's in the shade. And a lot of the other stuff is just little tweaks around the ballpark. We didn't have any major construction to do this year. It was more of like let's continue to improve on some of the little things that we did, but then it was really sort of introducing a lot of new promotions to our promotions calendar.
Well, you've brought along a bevy of them, so let's take a look and talk about some of these giveaways that you'll have.
Well, we got I think it's sort of the year of the wearables, if you will. So this is as you can see, it's a full button-down Yadier Molina Cardinals replica jersey. This is for the first 1,500 fans on May 21st.
Very nice.
So that's a great one. One non-wearable, but a great one is a Memphis Redbirds beach towel. One of my favorites. It's got a full size, full color of Rocky and the Redbirds logos. This was hand drawn in our offices by our graphic designer.
How about that?
And turned into a beach towel. Great quality. This is on June 9th.
That's beautiful.
And then July 9th, just in the middle of summer.
Perfect for summer,
just
right?
in time for Christmas in July, we will return our Christmas in July promotion, is a Memphis Redbirds scarf. Come get it in July, save it for the winter,
Right.
and it'll be great. So we'll do that on Christmas in July, where we'll do our fun jerseys and stuff again this year. Another one of my favorites, another wearable this year. This is an adult quarter zip pullover. So it's a quarter zip, got the full logo. It's sort of a replica of our BP warm-up jerseys.
Very nice.
That the players wear, and that will be August 6th. And then a couple new things for our Kids Club. We've got a backpack for all of our Kids Club members. To become a Kids Club member, it's only $15. You get the backpack, and you get a ticket to every Sunday game throughout the year. So 11 Sundays, you get a ticket for it to come in. The backpack, there's free ice cream on Sundays and a whole bunch of other things for kids. So well worth the $15 to join our Kids Club. And then finally, another thing we're sort of spending a lot more time on this year is what we call theme nights. So we have this full zip hoodie shirt or sweatshirt for people. And this is with a theme ticket. And the way theme tickets work is if you buy the specialty theme ticket for that night, if you go onto the website memphisredbirds.com/theme, you can buy a ticket for this night. And if you buy that specialty theme ticket, you are guaranteed to get this item. And this is a really nice, good quality jacket. We've got a bunch of other theme nights, things geared towards teachers, I'm trying to think of some other ones. It's our education days. We have some other Cardinal-themed items as well, some of the promotions that they did in St. Louis, a Trevor Rosenthal bobblehead that you can buy, that you can only get through the special theme ticket purchase.
Fireworks has always been a big part of the Redbirds. Will that continue Saturday nights?
It will, yeah. So a couple of other changes are some game times that we've done. One is Saturday nights. We've moved our game times back a half an hour to 6:35.
Okay.
With the introduction last year of the new pitch clocks and the clocks in between innings, we lost about 15 minutes on each game time.
Oh, really?
We were down about an average of 15 minutes, which got our game times down to just over 2.5 hours, which is huge. You know, when you talk about the pace of the game, and people coming down to be able to enjoy, that was a big change. Going 2.5 hours is a lot more manageable than 3. But what happened on Saturday nights when we had game times at 6 o'clock, we'd have games over before it was dark. So we had some issues with shooting fireworks off. So we moved our game times back a little bit on there. But with that change in those clocks and the change in the game times, we've also changed some game times on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays during April and May when kids are in school. So those early weekday games, we're moving those game times back to 6:35 for the same reason. Now, we heard from a lot of people that a 7 o'clock game on a Tuesday night in April or May when the kids are in school, it's very difficult. Very difficult to get the kids back home, you know, and in bed to get up the next morning for school. So moving back to 6:35, that even if people want to come down, hey, you might be a couple minutes late, but they can still see the majority of the game and leave at a decent time and still be home at a reasonable time for the kids to go to school.
What I like is you just said we heard from the fans. There is obviously interaction. You welcome reaction, response from people. And obviously you take a lot of that to heart and maybe even make changes because of what the people say.
Absolutely. I mean, it's something that we spent this offseason, doing some focus groups with several of our season ticket holder groups. We brought former season ticket holders in.
How about that?
To find out, why they didn't come back, or even if they had really good reasons to not come back, as to, what changes that they would see that they would go, oh, that's a great change. I mean, I spend, most of the game walking around and talking to people and, always, front and center as much as I can be to, if people have a compliment, a problem, a question, a suggestion, we're going to listen. And that's, those game times, that was a big thing that we talked about. Increasing the promotions and some of the quality of those was another thing. And with the introduction last year of the $1 hot dog nights and some other things, that was trying to bring more, family-friendly, affordable things into the mix. Who can't enjoy a $1 hot dog? And you can buy a Bluff ticket still for $9. So you come in, buy a Bluff ticket for $9 and get a $1 hot dog, and you still have a great night at the ballpark.
You mentioned the hot dogs and the food. That's all part of Americana and part of baseball. Any changes as far as the food is concerned? It's going to be pretty much what we saw last year?
Pretty much. I mean, largely the same. And we have all the staples, and that's what you want. Is when you come to the ballpark, we've tried different things in suites and club areas before, and what you hear is people go, I'm coming to the ballpark. I want a hot dog. I want nachos. I want cold beer.
Right.
I want a Coca-Cola. That's what they want.
They're not looking for souffles.
No. And sometimes, sometimes you have those and you look at the end of the year and you go, yeah, we've sold 20 of them.
Right.
Sometimes it's neat to have. It grabs a headline. We're adding some tacos this year, a couple of different taco things, switching up some other stands, making some tweaks to our barbecue nacho recipes and stuff too.
Sure.
We're going to be introducing a little bit more of a spicier sauce, which I think is going to be, last year we had some feedback on the barbecue nachos.
Sure.
And largely, I'll tell you, I'll be the first one to say is that I wasn't a fan of the sauce. It was too sweet. It was not a true, what I would call a Memphis style sort of, you go to a lot of places, got a little kick to it.
Right.
So we're going to introduce, some sauces and try some different things in there. We're always growing. We're always looking to, keep advancing things and, not be the same.
Let me ask you about attendance. Obviously, it was very disappointing to be where you are in the PCL, which is, it's hard to believe because you put such a great product both on the field and off the field. The experience of people is top notch. It's definitely AAA. How do you get that attendance back up?
Well, I think, through some of the things we've talked about already through promotions, our big thing this year was, focusing on group sales. And groups are groups of anybody of 20 to, 200 or 2,000. And what we did there, was to bring more value to those tickets. In the past, it was about, offering discounts, and that goes so far. The big thing this year was to go with the group ticket. That with every group ticket purchased, you get a Memphis Redbirds hat, and you also get a voucher for a hot dog and soda.
More bang for your buck.
That's the basic package. Now you can add additional things on and better food, but when you start to look at the value sort of built in, and you go, a hot dog is $4.50, a soda is $4, and the hat, $12, $15 in a retail application, and the starting ticket for a group purchase is $16, you've received the value in terms of the hot dog, the soda, the hat, before you've even come in and really done what you came to do, and that's to watch a baseball game. So we've spent a lot of time of looking at how we can add value into the things that we're doing. That's what people want. People want more value. They want more things, more bang for their buck, as you said, whenever they come through. So our focus this year has been on, group sales. That's one huge way that we can really grow the business. And the other side is when we do, bigger and better promotions, bring better quality items in, the wearables, where it's things that you can, actually put on, and they're really nice. It's a quality product that you're going to go, man, I can't believe they're giving this away at the gate.
Exactly.
And those are things that are going to help drive some of those individual buyers, that are coming down on our Friday and Saturday night.
About a minute to go. How about the team on the field? What type of team is Mike Schultz going to field this year?
I think it's going to be a very competitive team. We've got several big league, guys. We have guys that would, be on most big league teams, from, Marco Gonzalez, Tim Cooney, Sam Tuivalala, who would be a closer for most teams. We got a couple new guys as well to kind of keep your eye on. Deck McGuire, real baseball name, right? Like Deck McGuire.
Somebody from Bull Durham.
Right. He's a former first-round pick for the Toronto Blue Jays, picked up by the Cardinals in the offseason. Big guy, great guy. So he'll be one to kind of keep your eye on this year. And then as we get through the end of May, we expect to see Alex Reyes here, who is the number one prospect for the Cardinals and a top 10 prospect in all of Major League Baseball. He'll be back. He's currently serving a suspension right now, but he'll be back at the end of May, and we expect to see him, and he brings heat, and will be really exciting to watch him. And Charlie Tilson joins the team this year as well, coming up from Double-A. He's an outfielder, and he's a guy to keep your eye on as well.
What we always see is quality players, because when you look at the Cardinals roster, it is made up a lot with Redbirds players. So each and every year, fans that get to go to Redbirds games and enjoy themselves see the future of the Cardinals, and that will not be any different this year. Craig, always a pleasure. Congratulations on the new position as president, and we wish you well this season.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us. That's Craig Unger from the Memphis Redbirds. We'll take a break. Overtime is next. The NFL draft is rapidly approaching, and this past Wednesday, all eyes were on the University of Memphis as the Tigers hosted their annual Pro Day. Only this one garnered tremendous national attention with expected first-round pick Paxton Lynch on hand with his former teammates. The 6'7" quarterback battled less than ideal conditions, dealing with gusty winds to throw in front of representatives from most NFL teams. And after the workout, which was covered live by the NFL Network, Paxton and his agent Lee Steinberg spoke about the performance.
I thought I did really well. All the feedback I got from all the coaches and media guys, they were really impressed with how I handled it. I know I wanted to come out here and, show my control with these guys, and I was really excited to come out here and just throw with these guys again because, I've been throwing with all these other guys at the Combine, all these guys in Orlando, so it felt good to be around some familiar faces, so I was really excited and really pleased how it went.
Talk about this process, Paxton. Nerve-wracking, man.
Yeah, well, it's crazy to think that I never thought I'd be here, my freshman year, but now I got the chance to be here. I got good people around me keeping my head on straight, and I came from a good place, a good program, and good coaching staff, so I've just really been enjoying it as much as I could, and I know it's going to get even busier here in the future, but I'm really looking forward to it because I know a lot of kids aren't even able to get this opportunity, and I keep that in the back of my mind and how blessed I am, and I'm really excited for it. Like I said, I've kind of been doubted my whole football career. Coming out of high school, I was not recruited. All these guys I went to camps with were, 5-star, the best in the nation, and I thought I was just as good, if not better than these guys. So now I go to college and I go to Memphis, and people are like, you go to Memphis, like, what? Like, they didn't have a football team. And now we went to almost talk of the playoff. And now I'm about to get drafted, and Wentz and Goff are better than you. So, it's nothing new to me. And, you compare me to another person who's their own player, and I'm my own player. So, that's a good quarterback in my opinion. But like I said, I'm worried about myself, and I'm worried about making myself better.
Whatever you wanted to show teams, Paxton, because I know they talked about.
Yeah, just who I was as a person. I know that coming out of a spread offense, they wanted to see me get under center and move around and be quick and twitchy, and I knew I had that. So that's what I wanted to showcase here. I already knew, I was big and athletic and could throw the ball, and I think that's something I showed them as well. Also, as well as my presence on the field, as a leader and pushing these guys and picking these guys up. So I think I did a really good job at all of that.
How did our boy do? I thought he was spectacular. He threw all the basic throws you need to throw. He demonstrated the footwork, which had been a question mark because of the fact that when you come out of a spread offense, they want to know if you can play under center. So the preponderant majority of plays were designed to show his footwork and the fact he is adapting to it. He showed incredible command and leadership. I've been to 30 of pro scouting days, and this was quite near the top. It was really excellent.
Have you gotten any feedback from any of the NFL reps?
Well, some of the teams talked to me, and they thought he was outstanding, and that they loved his command, they loved the strength of his arm, and they loved the mobility, his athleticism, which you don't expect in someone that's tall. He can actually scamper. And he's impressive in terms of character, comes from a good faith-based family, loyal, and all the rest of it.
Are you willing to give us any kind of prediction as to where he'll go in the draft?
I think that we're in the middle of scouting, so it's a little difficult. He'll certainly be a first-round draft pick. He'll be franchise quarterback. I think the team order, look, the draft prognosticators who do not run teams have anointed 2 other quarterbacks at the top of the draft. But it's not based on teams telling them they're going to take them there. And we still have 2.5 weeks of great scouting ahead, and that will tell the tale.
Have you heard anything from Justin?
Yeah, he actually talks to me basically every week. He called me the other night, and we were just kind of, just talking about everything and this and that. And, talking about how he was doing over at Virginia Tech. Asked about how all the guys were doing here, and how I was doing, how I was handling my family. I was asking about his family, and we have a really good relationship. I consider him as a role model for me, and the stuff that he did for me here, and always having my back through the roughest times. And now he's here to see, reap the rewards with me. So we knew, it was going to come to this point, me and him. But he's been with me every step of the way. If I ever had any questions or anything like that.
Did he give you any advice?
Yeah, just enjoy it, because it gets hectic. It gets rough, obviously, with all this travel and stuff. But just enjoy the process because you only get to go through it one time.
Was it fun out there, or was it work?
Oh my gosh, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, I had a blast with those guys. I already miss them. That's probably the last time I'll get to throw to them, unless we end up on the same team. But I had a lot of fun out there.
Plenty of excited people wishing Paxton and the rest of the Tigers hopefuls nothing but the best. Hey, congratulations to the Villanova Wildcats for their dramatic last-second win over the North Carolina Tar Heels in the National Basketball Championship game. It was one of the best finishes in NCAA history. The Grizzlies will host the Golden State Warriors tonight in the team's regular season finale, but word came down earlier in the week that Mike Conley will not return for the playoffs because of an Achilles injury that hasn't healed yet. And the Memphis Tigers football team scrimmaged today at Father Ryan High School in Nashville, spreading their wings and spreading the word of Coach Mike Norvell to the Music City. And that'll do it for now. Have yourselves a great week, and we'll see you next time.
Production funding for Sports Files is made possible in part by
Infiniti of Memphis has moved to Germantown Road, just half-mile north of Wolf Chase Galleria, and is proud to support WKNO for its quality broadcasting and service to our community. Quality and service? No wonder Infiniti of Memphis feels at home on WKNO.